All right, welcome to part 2 of the key press. And this is where we introduce the challenge. So we saw in the last lesson that we can track the key events using the key event listener. We can track on key down and all the different key presses and outputting the content along when that element gets clicked. So this challenge is to take the content that's being clicked and create a new element, adding an element with whatever the key press is. And you can add it, you can create a brand new div, and then append the div with the new content that's being pressed. We're going to track the event key as well as the event key code. And you can see example over here on the right hand side. So pause the video, try this out, and I'll walk you through the solution coming up. So the objective here is to add to a particular element all of the keys that get pressed. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add into an unordered list. So we've got one unordered list, selecting that unordered list using the document. And we only have the one unordered list, so this one is a really easy selection. Select the unordered list, and I'll refresh just to make sure that I've got that particular object. So I do have it, and I can create elements and append them as children. So the next thing I need to do is listen for our event trigger, so that's the key event. So whenever the key down, whenever a key is pressed down on the document object, this is when we're going to be invoking this function. And within the function, we want to add a key press. So let's create an element. So this can be, actually it's going to be a list item that we're going to be creating. So document, create element, and we're creating a list item. And then also we're text C, also document, create text node, and we don't have the contents of that quite yet. So let's create some content for that. And this is going to be the information that we're tracking. So we can just hold it in a temporary holder. And we want to take the event key plus the key code. So it's going to wrap it with a rounded bracket, and the event or the E key code. So that's going to wrap it within that rounded bracket. So that's going to give us our content for our text element. And all we need to do is add temp in there. So now every time the key gets pressed, we're going to add that. So we need to append a child to that. And the child that we're appending is text C. And then we're also on the unordered list, we're appending a child to that. And the child that we're appending is the list item. So how about we try this? So every time we press any of the keys, you're going to see that it gets listed as list items. So these are all the keys that I'm pressing. And you see all of these are getting tracked as list items. So even when I press things like the enter gets tracked with its key name, which is enter, and then its key code, which is 13. And there's also space. So some systems will track space and some won't have anything for space. And that's why we use the key code to be more efficient when we're tracking these different key events. So coming up next, we've got some more mouse events that we're going to be tracking. So mouse movement, and that's coming in the next lesson.